invents a machine to serve him butter. When the machine became sentient and realized that its entire sole purpose was to serve butter, it went into a depressive state. This is a good way to understand that Gnostic cruelty of physical existence. Rick's battery on his car, or fucking something like that. I'm gonna get the details of this episode wrong, but it's the gist. The battery on his car quit working, so he had to shrink himself down into a macrocosmic level to go into the battery. There was an entire civilization of living physical entities whose efforts and energy is actually what powered Rick's car. Rick pleaded with Morty and said, do not tell these people that their sole purpose is to power my car. It would create chaos. The living entities, the conscious beings within this reality, wouldn't be able to handle the brutal reality of their existence being for the sole purpose to power some dirtbag's fucking car. It would cause mass suicide. When Rick goes down there as an avatar, he's considered a god. This is obviously funny and humorous to watch for us because we know that that's a TV show and we don't have to worry about that. We live in objective reality. We are a power source for an evil entity. It can't be. That certainty that we are not a food source for a higher creature that could be, in a way, malicious is hubris. It's ego. We think we're the top of the food chain, and when we find out that we're not, we freak the fuck out. What would happen if our species was to realize that we were a sort of a farm? A sort of an experiment, maybe even bacteria in a petri dish, or powering somebody else's world of a magnitude that we can't even imagine. If that's the case, how could we be controlled? Let us consider for a moment how high fleas can jump. Compared to their body size, it's like one of us jumping over a building in downtown New York. However, if you put a group of fleas into a jar for 3 days, the lid, therefore, limiting their incredible ability to jump, something very unexpected happens. These fleas, despite being fully capable of jumping great distances out of the jar, simply do not anymore after 3 days. They will faithfully stay inside the jar with the lid removed. And then something far more strange happens. This shit is where it gets scary. When the fleas reproduce, the offspring of those particular fleas also ignore or are ignorant to the ability to jump any higher than the lid of that jar was set for its parents. This is startling as all fuck. Fleas, just like us, are made out of carbon. We just learned that carbon is, in its raw form, the 666. We are fleas. We're living, we're breathing, sentient to a particular degree, and we can be controlled. We can be brainwashed, and we can be tricked. What if one of those fleas in the jar was to wake up and say, guys, we can jump fucking way higher than this. We can jump out of the jar. We can be free. Would the fleas consider him to be a heretic, a crazy person, a genius maybe? If he was to jump out of the jar, would they consider that a miracle? Can we handle the fact that we are the fleas and Christ realized that we are being limited to these 5 senses and wanted to liberate us from our programming? The carbon atom, the black cube, Saturn, 666. Our non-Christian viewers might say, what about Krishna? What about the Buddha, Quetzalcoatl? These teachers of mankind, Lao Tzu, for example, who have woken up and they've expressed themselves to other human beings. Us, as those fleas who can't jump out of the jar, oftentimes assassinate those who show us how powerful we are. Because to be that powerful, we have to use love and understanding in the same way that the bacteria in our gut has to break down proteins, get along with the amino acids in order to create DNA. All of the portions of our body, which is essentially a place, all of these atoms, molecules, DNA, organs, etc., have to get along and live in harmony for us to thrive. If they don't live in harmony, it becomes cancer. That's science. That's not theology. That's in our body right now. Imagine, like the Kabbalah says, we are meant to create one uniform creature and have it realize bliss. To serve man is to serve God, just as the bacteria in our guts to serve the amino acids that create DNA. That camaraderie, that love, that attention to detail is what makes the human body thrive. If we are living in a God as part of it, then indeed to serve man is to serve God. To serve each other is to serve God. The only thing holding us back is the frequency that has been endowed upon us by. But why would something oppose our growth spiritually? It is said that they are these beings called archons that were created out of the syntax error. They feast and use as sustenance our energy, like Rick's battery. The more pain that we go through and the more hatred that we expel towards our fellow man, the more that cancer can grow. Cancer within us depends on the discamaraderie of our physical nature to thrive, thus killing us. If we don't get along, we become cancer to the earth. The earth becomes cancer